Good morning, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Irene Weiss, and I'm president of the League of Women Voters of Southeastern Connecticut. The League is a nonpartisan, inclusive organization whose goal is an informed electorate. We do not support candidates nor parties, but actively work for policies, especially those that provide citizen participation in voting. I just want to slip in a couple of recent activities so you know some of the kinds of things we've done. We just had a really great panel with Denise Mayoral, Secretary of State, and with Laura Smith, who's the League State Vice President for Voter Services about, well, it was titled, How's Connecticut Do Compared to Georgia? And that's online and you can look at that anytime. And it was really interesting. The Norwich Free Academy, along with the Robertstein Youth Group of the NAACP of Norwich and the League, put together a great forum on women in politics, and the Lieutenant Governor Bisowitz was there, 2 state senators and 2 state reps, and the head of an organization in Norwich, and I encourage you to watch that. I learned so many interesting things about these people that nobody ever knew because they talked about a lot of personal things. And the last one was a terrific voter registration event at Grasso Tech. The teachers, Susan Manning and Xiao Li, arranged for us to help the students online register to vote. But today, for today's debate, we've had a wonderful response, and I first want to thank the candidates, Aundre Bumgardner and Mayor Keith Hedrick. Thank you, Councilor Bumgardner and Mayor Hedrick, for participating. And thank you also to the many people who sent in wonderful questions, thoughtful questions for the candidates. We've tried to include as many issues as we can based on the time that we have allowed. I want to thank our timers, Jenny Bidding and Terri Roper of the League of Women Voters of Southeastern Connecticut, and a special thanks to our wonderful expert moderator, Jean Rabinow of the Bridgeport Area League, who will explain the procedure and we'll begin the debate. Thank you, Jean, so much.
Thank you, Irene. The procedure is relatively simple on this one for everybody except the timers. Each candidate will be given 20 minutes in total to answer the questions that are asked. There is no limit on how long each answer can take, but when the 20 minutes are up, they're up. At the end of the 40 minutes, approximately, we will stop the questions and each candidate will be given a chance to give a closing statement of up to 3 minutes, and that will be the end of it. I will tell you that there are enough questions that I am reasonably positive we cannot possibly ask all of them, although they were all extremely good. I will also tell you that questions that can only be answered by one candidate will not be asked today. This is a debate in which we are encouraging the voters to contrast and compare the answers given by both candidates. And a question about why did you do X in the past is not something that both candidates can necessarily answer. Why will you do X in the future? That's legit. That being said, I would like to start the first question, and I will just give it randomly to Mr. Hedrick. And it's a softball to both of you. Why should the voters choose you? What is your background? What did you do in government? How many years did you do it? What kind of budgets did you manage, and so forth? Starting with Mr. Hedrick.
Okay, thank you. First of all, I want to say, Irene, thank you. Jean, thank you for doing this again. Ladies, thanks to the League of Women Voters for giving me the opportunity to talk about the city of Groton and my background. So just a little bit of my background. I did 23 years of submarine service in the United States Navy, followed by 16 and a half years in private industry. And then I've been involved in politics since around 2010. And I was the deputy mayor from 2015 to 2017. I've been on the RTM. I've been the mayor since 2017. I've managed the budgets here. I've managed the budgets of about $90 million for the last 4 years. Most of that, 70 million of that is in the Groton utilities, and 20 million of that is for the city of Groton. We have 9 departments, 8 unions, and 214 people. And so that's my background and my experience, and why I think that I'm qualified to be the mayor, and why I want to continue to be the mayor.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Bumgardner. And please unmute yourself, sir.
Absolutely. Well, first and foremost, I'd like to thank the League of Women Voters for hosting this wonderful debate, and thank you, Mayor Hedrick, for participating. For those who haven't met me at your doorstep, my name is Aundre Bumgardner, and I'm absolutely honored to stand before you as the Democratic nominee and candidate for mayor here in the city of Groton. Voters have a very clear choice, new ideas or more of the same. I look forward to discussing throughout this debate our ideas to revitalize Thames Street, equipping families with the resources for distance learning, and harnessing the power of renewable energy, as well as creating an open and inclusive government here at City Hall in Groton, and fix our broken sewage tax. Now, to answer your question more directly, voters deserved a mayor who understands the needs of our city, can build coalitions between a cross-section of our community, is equipped to manage a $20 million city budget and $70 million utilities budget. As mayor, I'm very eager to work with our more than 200 city employees, very dedicated city employees who work on behalf of our city residents. My experience as state representative, Groton Town Councilor, and Planning and Zoning Commissioner, as well as my work at the State Treasurer's Office, make me uniquely prepared for the role as mayor. First and foremost, I'm a lifelong city resident. I grew up here playing Little League with the city police, and at Washington Park. As a child, I would swim to the raft and collect hermit crabs at Eastern Point Beach. And I'm inspired each and every day to give back to our community because it's my home. As state representative, I served as a member of the Finance, Revenue, and Bonding Committee, Education Committee, and Transportation Committee. In that capacity, I worked diligently to restore very draconian ECS cuts for our school district, a very necessary skill for a town or city leader. I've demonstrated a willingness to work across party lines to support our local industry. And at the State Treasurer's Office, I've worked with colleagues that managed a $50 billion pension and retirement fund. As a member of the Groton Town Council, I've supported balanced budgets with a healthy fund balance, which is why Moody's recently Moody's recently upgraded our bond rating. I've led the committee in public safety and marched with the Black Lives Matter movement here in our community, demanding equality for Black and Brown residents. I've been a staunch advocate for taking local action on climate change, supporting coastal resiliency, open space acquisition, and the toughest plastics reduction ordinance in the state. And finally, I serve on the Groton City Planning and Zoning Commission, where we work very closely with our small to large employers to balance the economic development and the unique needs of our coastal community. So as mayor, I will bring these rich experiences to the table with an open ear and inviting people of all walks of life in our city to the decision-making table. I look forward to earning your vote on May 3rd and engaging in this debate.
Okay, thank you. The next question will go to Mr. Bumgardner first. We had several of these. What is your plan for taking care of the empty buildings and general lack of economic development on Thames Street?
Well, that's a wonderful question. As I mentioned, over the last 3.5 months, I've spoken to hundreds of residents at their doorstep. While walking along Groton Bank, every other door, I have conversations with young families saying, what are we going to do with Thames Street? Thames Street was a motivating factor for us to purchase our home here along the waterfront. And so I would like to focus on a few areas. For one, we need to improve our permitting processes, cut the red tape. There is no reason why prospective developers or entrepreneurs have to go to City Hall to pull a permit. You should be able to do one-stop shopping online, go through just a few simple processes to seek building approvals here in our city. So Thames Street will be a priority. We have to look at various examples throughout our region. You look at New London, you look at Mystic. In the last few years, they've really supported a bustling restaurant scene. In New London, for example, they've turned a office warehouse into a successful restaurant in the Social. In Mystic, they're retrofitting historic buildings to build breweries. Where is the foresight and vision here in the city? Thames Street, the conditions on Thames Street have remained largely the same throughout my entire lifetime. So we need to improve walkability and bikeability. There are many sidewalks that are not ADA compliant because there is a utility pole right in the middle of it. So if we want to encourage more foot traffic, again, we have to address some of those concerns. Recently, the governor approved funds at the Bond Commission for 8 boat slips. And that really, I think, can be a catalyst for development. There are nearby buildings that are greatly underutilized, want to engage, again, entrepreneurs to work with existing property owners to, again, activate our waterfront. So improving walkability, improving permitting processes, and activating our waterfront. Would like to establish a river walk as well, and have been a part of those discussions as a member of the Planning and Zoning Commission.
All right, same question, Mr. Hedrick.
Thank you. So I agree with Town Councilor Bumgardner in that streamlining processes, and we've done that. When I got here, we started streamlining processes so that it wouldn't take as long in order to get permits. We are now going online with those permitting processes, and we're going to point of sale. In addition to that, the Riverwalk, that is something that is being done through the Economic Development Commission that's already on progress. As far as Thames Street specifically goes, because this ties to economic development in general, but I just received information that from a small harbor improvement projects program, we're going to get $649,000 to reconstruct the docks that are down on the waterfront. There'll be 8 26-foot boat slips and a handicap accessible kayak boat launch, in addition to the $75,000 grant that we're going to get to study how to improve the waterfront down there at Thames View Park. So we are looking at high density development across from Garbo's Lobster. The restaurant that is there, I am working with a restaurateur out of Mystic to develop a restaurant there. One of the challenges, I've talked to people that Thames Street has looked kind of like it has for 20, 30 years now. There have been a lot of mayors that have worked on this. But one of the challenges that we have down there is there's one property owner that owns 14 properties. So I have been working with him, and we are also applying pressure from the police side through blight and from the planning side in order to get that individual to move some of those properties and to put storefronts on the first floor with residential on the top floors. So one of the things we're looking at is the Sportsman to try to get a bar down there, the Army Navy store to try to get either a restaurant or a bar there, and the old burned down Ken's Tackle. We attacked that as blight, but we were not successful because an architect and a judge ruled that was structurally stable, so we didn't get to do that. But we're looking to develop residential units in the business fronts. We're also businesses for residents and for visitors. We have to address the parking issues that are down on Thames Street. And one of the things that we're going to do after the election is we're going to develop a community group that's going to work with Sierra Patrick and the Economic Development Commission to help revitalize Thames Street through local action. And these are the kinds of things that we are now doing on Thames Street. Thank you.
next question will go back to Mr. Hedrick first. And it's a follow-up on economic development, but this time it's about Five Corners. What is your position about the Five Corners development, and what do you say to those who have been against the proposal?
Well, thank you. The issue is economic development. Do we want economic development in a city or not? And then where do you have economic development? One of the challenges that some people have with this is they don't like the height of the building, which is proposed at five stories. Some of them don't like the facade of the building, which appears to be too modernistic for some people. But currently that is all in front of the Planning and Zoning Commission. And frankly, that's out of my hands as the mayor. But when I ask people, because they say, well, you're going to disrupt some residential houses. And the challenge that we have in the city of Groton is we don't have a lot of open space, and we are built out with residential units. So where would you like to put a 5-story building that might disrupt some of the residents? Would you want to put it at Eastern Point Beach? Probably not. Would you want to put it across from the golf course? Probably not. Do you want to put it down in the middle of Thames Street? Probably not there either. And no one wants to tear down 200-year-old houses on historic Groton Bank to put them. So if we put this here, which is going to help Electric Boat with the numbers of people that they need, because we're targeting toward the engineers and the people that are going to work at Electric Boat. This is literally a baseball throw from Electric Boat property. So we need to decide what is the right thing to do and how can we do it and have economic development as a forethought in the center of Groton, or in the city of Groton. Now, so that's it. I'll just let it go at that. Thank you.
Okay, same question to Mr. Bumgardner.
Thank you, Jean. Well, as a city planning and zoning commissioner, I am not permitted at this time to opine on any open application. As the mayor mentioned, there is an application before us to deliberate on the proposed 5-story building at Five Corners. I will say that while I support mixed-use development, we do have to be cognizant and mindful of maintaining the community character. So as mayor, when we are looking at any development project in the city, that will be first and foremost. There is no reason why our city cannot host charrettes with neighbors that will be impacted by any form of development to solicit their input on what kind of development they would like to see in their community. There is no reason why neighbors should have to see any proposed plan for any project at the Planning and Zoning Commission when the city has had the opportunity to provide not just information, but solicit their input previously. So we will do that as your mayor. We will host charrettes and meetings about developing master plans for Five Corners. As of now, there is not a master plan for the Five Corners area. Another area the mayor mentioned parking, that we are built out. I will mention that also in my lifetime, Electric Boat has expanded its parking to meet its significant parking needs that will only become more and more in the years to come. So I would like to work with not just Electric Boat, but also the state and our federal delegation to develop a shared parking strategy to address some of the parking needs that we will be seeing at Electric Boat. Therefore, there will not be a need to gobble up homes in that surrounding Five Corners neighborhood. It is incumbent on our city to prioritize multimodal transportation. I currently serve on the SEAT board, would like to see more folks utilize our bus lines, more folks building infrastructure so that more folks walk to work, supporting bikeability, bike lanes so that our young engineers and our welders can bike to Electric Boat from their homes. So these are things that I would like to address and very much will be, again, very much connected to the development of Five Corners for the years to come.
Okay, thank you. Next question will go to Mr. Bumgardner first. And it is, What services does Groton Utilities Company provide to the city? And if elected, would you support maintaining the relationship or switching to Eversource?
Absolutely. So to answer the latter part of your question, I am firmly opposed to any form of privatization of Groton Utilities, oppose the consolidation of the town and the city. I have been very outspoken throughout my time here in politics on that matter, in local public service on that matter. And most recently, during the primary, I was endorsed by the Groton Utilities workforce, the locals 007 and 818, which represent the line workers and the supervisors at Groton Utilities. Cumulatively, they represent the largest workforce in our city. These men and women are on the front lines, keeping the lights on during hurricanes and blizzards. We are so fortunate to have them as frontline workers. In their endorsement, they cited my innovative approach to investing in resiliency, investing in the reliability of our electric grid, focusing on the investment of solar panels, developing a robust solar program so that our ratepayers can install solar, our commercial and residential ratepayers can install solar panels on their rooftops. So these are innovative approaches that will result in a reduction in utility bills. Additionally, we manage the water division. Our reservoir is in the town of Groton, and actually 20% of the town's open space is held by Groton Utilities. Would like to investigate opportunities for expansion, supporting our surrounding municipalities. Again, the Groton Utilities is our way to support regionalization and to ensure that our surrounding municipalities also can have access to clean water, just as the city does. It could represent a wonderful opportunity for our city financially for the years to come. And lastly, as of a couple of years ago, the city now manages the sewer division. It used to be a part of the city government budget. The mayor cites quite frequently that he has held the line on taxes, has not reduced taxes. Well, that's because he shifted the city sewer budget to the sewer budget from the city to the utilities budget. Thus doubling the water bill for many ratepayers in our city. So I would like to take a look at that to ensure that our families are not burdened with additional water bill, additional increases in their water bill for the years to come. So again, cannot wait to roll up my sleeves to work with the hardworking men and women of the electric, water, and sewer division here in our city.
Okay, same question to Mr. Hedrick. Would you support maintaining the relationship or switching to Eversource?
Thank you, Jean. So just real quick, I want to step back to the last question where Town Councilor Bumgardner talked about seat and JLS and the parking plan. We're currently working with the Southeastern Connecticut Council of Governments for a JLS study for a parking management plan in the city of Groton. We're actively working with the COG and with Electric Boat to determine this. There is no discussion of tearing anything down to put parking and knock parking down. We are discussing if we can use tiered structures such as a parking garage. We're also looking at bringing people in from outside. Currently, since he knows that he's on the seat council, he knows that the bus lines and the times here don't always coincide with when the people are coming to work, especially for the 6:30 to 2:30 shift. So that's a challenge, and that has not been corrected at that level, but it could be. So the parking plan we have and those kind of things. So as far as Groton Utilities goes, I 100% maintaining Groton Utilities. If you look at where we are right now in electric rates, we are 20% or more less than Eversource. So we are going to continue that. Our water, we just did a $42 million water facility that is so advanced that it will meet water quality standards that don't even exist yet. So we are the region's water supplier. We go up to Ledyard, into Ledyard, up to Preston. We are going across the Poquatonic Cove. in order to go into Montville. We have cross connects that we can help other utilities and other municipalities if they need water, and we do that. Some of the programs that Town Councilor Bumgardner wants to do with the solar and a lot of the green initiatives he has will absolutely raise rates. And if you incorporate all those rates will go up more than 20%. So you will be paying the same rates as what you pay now, what Eversource pays now. Now we have resiliency already. We have an aggressive tree cutting program in order to keep the trees from knocking the power lines down. We are investing in infrastructure on electric and water, and now we're investing in sewer. So let me talk about sewer. If you look at the taxes in the city of Groton, the taxes went from 5.77 in 2017 to 4.3 now. They were flat last year and they're flat this year. If you look at, and that's in the city of Groton. If you go to the town of Groton, Town Councilor Bumgardner raised taxes the last 2 years. And it's a record, you can go look it up and see what the taxes did in the town. So one of the things that we did was we removed the sewer. I removed the sewer out of the tax base. Why did we do that? Because it was underfunded and the can was getting kicked down the road. We had a $500,000 digester claim when we had the explosion there. We implemented previously discussed plans for funding based on a cost of service study and an internal study. It is now in an enterprise account, and all the sewer money has to be used for sewer. When it was in the tax base, the money could be taken out of that and be used for other things. That money is now protected. It is in a lockbox. Also, all users, including state, town, and city properties and nonprofits, now pay for the usage of the sewer infrastructure. So everybody is paying to maintain the sewer infrastructure. You now pay for what you use and not based on what the value of your house is. And this approach was approved by the residents at a Freeman's meeting. And this is a fiscally responsible method to lower your taxes and avoid tax increases due to surprise capital costs. And while I was doing some research for this, I found out that the town has a sewer tax, and so they have your tax, which is your main tax, and then they throw an additional tax on top of that, which is a 0.56 mill rate on the town. And then if you were to take that tax rate and put it on the city of Groton's, and you were to take the based on population, that would be a 2.24 mill increase. And I will also say that now that the sewer is out of the tax base, if there's any of looking at putting it back into the tax base, that will raise your taxes 2 mills, which is 50%. And if you want to have your taxes raised, then follow the recommendations that Town Councilor Bumgardner wants to do, because the plans and procedures and policies that we put in place lower your taxes, lower your rates, and will continue to do so into the future. Thank you, Gene.
Okay. Thank you both on that. The next question is a little bit different, and it will go to Mr. Hedrick first. The city of Groton has several unions represented by several different bargaining representatives. What do you believe will be the challenges you would face with these representatives and unions in budgets and other goals that you have for your administration in the coming years?
Okay, thank you, Gene. We have 8 different bargaining units, and the challenges are the different contracts. They have different contracts. All the contracts are different. We've tried to standardize the contracts as best we can, but that's always a challenge. We just finished going through contracts, and the challenge is, how do you take care of the employees and at the same time take care of the taxpayers? So you have to evaluate how much. So the employees are going to want increased raises. Understand that. They're going to want something different for their pension. I'm not going to get into the current negotiations that we have, but pensions are always an issue, insurances are always an issue. But one of the things that we are looking at also is how do you protect the taxpayers, right? So it's taking care of the employees, and at the same time, taking care of the taxpayers so that your taxes can be lowered, and there's a long-term cost savings. In the position that I'm in now, we're looking at things that are going to impact tax rates 3, 5, and 10 years down the road. You are never looking at 1 year down the road, or at least this mayor doesn't look 1 year down the road. There are a lot of people that do that. So what you also need to do is not just during negotiations, but on a daily basis, management and union both have to follow the contracts. And when they follow the contracts, then everybody is okay. It's when you start treating different employees differently under the same contract that we get into trouble. And that's why it's important. And that's why I'm involved with all the departments, because I want to make sure that we're taking care of the employees and that they're being treated fairly. And that's it. Thank you.
Same question on union negotiations to Mr. Bumgardner.
Absolutely. So as I stated before, I was endorsed by ASME Council 4 Locals 007 and 818, representing the line workers and supervisors. They have been working without a contract for the last 2 years. So again, when the mayor says he has been working on doing something, his record speaks for itself. He has simply not delivered on a contract when he has had ample opportunity to negotiate with them. Secondly, many of the unions I've spoken with, I should say, have stated that the pandemic created a host of new complications for city employees. They feel as if management has not taken the issue of the pandemic seriously at times. Case in point, the 007 union had to take it upon themselves to devise and fight for a COVID staffing response plan. Many of our employees who are non-union and management were able to work from home when our essential frontline workers did not have that choice. Many employees had to be vaccinated on their own time and not during city hours. I think that is, our frontline workers here in our city deserve much more respect from their mayor. I will work with our mayor. We've heard a lot about supervisory experience and management experience. We work with our employees. We don't manage them. We have department hands to manage, and that we manage as mayor, but we do not directly manage our employees. We work with them. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you both. At this point, can I ask the timers to give the times remaining for both candidates, please?
Keith has 6 minutes and 48 seconds.
Okay.
And Aundre has 6 minutes and 33 seconds.
Thank you very much. All right. The next question is going to go to Mr. Bumgardner first. And it is, should the city of Groton add additional recreational programming for adults? Why or why not? And how would such activities be funded?
Absolutely. So while going door to door, I've heard so many residents share their love for our beaches, our parks, both young and older, some of our elderly. But what I've heard time and time again is that they would like to see an expansion of our recreational services. I would like to leverage funds that will be coming from the town of Groton through American Rescue Plan funds that will be appropriated to our town from the state to ensure that families, particularly our youngsters, have access to expanded after-school programs and enhanced summer camp. We can utilize these dollars, make our case to the town for these funds to offer nutrition programs, recreational athletic programs, homework supports, and tutoring opportunities at the new Thames River Elementary School, which will be built at the site of the West Side Middle School. Here in our city, we don't have a youth services bureau. The town of Groton operates its youth services department as well as human services. So it is incumbent on our city. We have a very high needs population. Inequality has only gotten worse during this pandemic. Our families in many areas in our community have been hit so hard during this pandemic and losing their job. And some families don't even have the childcare available for their youngsters while they have to work, in some cases, 2 or 3 jobs. So it is incumbent on our city to develop a plan to offer recreational opportunities to our youngsters, also to our older folks as well. In terms of the beach, utilizing the Zabierski House and the Tyler House in the years to come. All floors of those spaces, in my eye, they are heavily underutilized as is. So expanding recreation will be a major focus of mine during my mayoralty.
All right, thank you. Same question to Mr. Hedrick.
Thank you, ma'am. First of all, I want to go back real quick on the contract. On the 818 contract, that's the one that you're referencing about for 2 years. 818 did not engage for a full year. We tried to get them to come to the table and they refused. And then once they came to the table, they delayed. And that was what took us so long. And when they were supposed to vote on it to take it for ratification, it did not go to membership. So that's the details and the truth behind what happened on 818. The 007, the staffing plan, we had a plan and a protocol and procedures and policies in place, and the union didn't like it. They wanted the NPU deal. What NPU did was NPU said, we're going to pay you to stay home and we'll pay you double time if you come in for an outage. What management had, and then I got called in to help with this, is that it was a week on and a week off in the very beginning, so that we made sure that we had to safe groups in and come in. And as far as being able to do the work, the executive order said, work from home if you can, work, do flexible hours, those kind of things. We did that. And I told the electricians, if you can show me how you can repair a cable line from your couch, I'll let you work from home. They were essential personnel and they cannot do electrical repairs from their home. So they had to come in. We put the protocols in place. No one from the city of Groton or from Groton Utilities got COVID as a result of any of the workplace work that they did. None of the residents did. We gave people vaccinations. Everybody that wanted 2 vaccinations are fully vaccinated, and we still have protocols in place. Now, going back to recreational programs, we have a lot of recreational programs already. We did a lot of extra things this year that were COVID friendly. We did trivia at the beach. We did the trails. We did scarecrows. We did the Easter egg extravaganza for a drive-through. We do a lot of this. Now, part of this is awareness. I have seniors here that don't know that they can go to the senior center. We've been working on awareness for the last 4 years. We're doing that. The American Rescue Funds, those go to the town. I verified that with Martin Heff, with the Office of OPM, Office of Personnel Management. And I've talked to John Burt, and Councilor Bumgardner was on a video call that this happened and said there is no carve out for the city of Groton. And as far as funds for the kids, there's the electric, the education. Education is going to get more funds than the town. So food programs, we have in the last several months, we have given 3,000 boxes of food to the local populations here. And we have a relationship with the Jim and Moran United Way Food Center, so that we have relationships through St. John's Christian Church and Branford Manor to ensure that people are getting food, and we're working with them on recreational programs. Thank you.
Thank you both on that one. This one will go to Mr. Hedrick first. And we got several questions about consolidation of services. In these difficult times when residents are using food banks, can we still justify having separate government for the city and town? For example, do we need separate recreation departments? Do we need separate town halls? What are the advantages and disadvantages of consolidating?
Okay, thank you, Gene. So I have gone on the record 100% since I started campaigning back in 2017. I am 100% against consolidation of the city and the town. We are working, I work with John Burt, my department heads work with his department heads to look for collaborative efforts and things that we can do that are going to save money and that we can help each other out. We do that. But if you look at where things are, what happens is the citizens in the city of Groton lose services. And I'm 100% against that. Because there's already an effort out there to consolidate the police and get rid of the police. And that would lose services to the city. And we pay extra for those services that we have. And the services, the recreation services that the town provides, we provide. Our city people can go to the town rec, town people can go to city rec, they can go to New London rec. So the services that we provide here in the city are not duplicative services because those services are not provided in other places. For example, my planning, we have our own planning, our own economic development. And so because the town was not providing that, and that's why we have it. So I will finish up with that. Thank you.
All right, the same question to Mr. Bumgardner.
Yes, as I stated earlier, I am firmly opposed to privatization of our city services and the consolidation of our town and city. With that said, it is incumbent on our mayor to develop relationships with not just our town leaders, but also our surrounding municipalities, given that we are a regional utility provider. I will leverage the experiences I have forming relationships as state representative and town councilor, working with our surrounding elected officials to work on areas of existing synergies, to promoting tourism, promoting regional economic development projects. Obviously, Electric Boat is located within our city limits. It is incumbent on our city to develop relationships with our federal delegation. I was recently endorsed by both Congressman Joe Courtney and Senator Chris Murphy, who have been on the front lines bringing home those contracts to the city. The South Yard Assembly Building represents an $850 million building project. We will have thousands of additional workers working within our city, and it's so important that our mayor prioritizes developing housing, developing businesses, so supporting entrepreneurs that will establish businesses here in our city so that our workforce have a place to go. So again, it is important that whoever the mayor is, that they do have the ability to work with our regional partners moving forward. And as your mayor, I have not only demonstrated a capacity to do so, but will continue doing so in the future.
All right, the next question is on taxes, and it will go to Mr. Bumgardner first. Both the mayor and the town council are responsible for voting on budgets. Will your proposed campaign initiatives, if enacted, increase, decrease, or keep taxes the same in the city? And given the Electric Boat expansion, would you be able to promise the voters that there will not be a property tax increase in the coming term?
Absolutely. Now, the mayor started discussing taxes earlier, stating that I voted to raise taxes. What I find most interesting is that I voted to appropriate additional funds for police and highway operations during my time as a town councilor, have always voted to support the mayor's budget request. And so the lion's share of the town's revenue, the city's revenue comes directly from the town and Groton utilities. About a third comes directly from direct property taxation or direct property tax levy. And so when the mayor states I voted to raise taxes, well, my question is, do you support the town's appropriation to the city so that you our city can continue to maintain strong and robust services. So I will always support our city. Again, the town recently received an increase in their bond rating from Moody's, and they cited our fiscal prudence. And so we will bring that same level of prudence to the city, and again, work with our town in a collaborative fashion to ensure that we receive our fair share of funds.
Okay, and Mr. Hedrick?
Thank you, Gene. So my policies are going to keep taxes level and flat. We have those in place. I am looking 3 and 5 years out down the road, and we are evaluating expenses versus revenues. So Town Councilor Bumgardner is correct in that roads and highways, but by the state act, the special act that created the city of Groton, the town is required to provide those monies that are necessary and proper for the repairing and making of roads that are town roads in the city of Groton. So you have to do that, or you'll go to arbitration, and then we get the attorneys involved. We don't want to do that. The police, by tradition, 50% of my police salary, police budget, minus my chief's salary, has been funded. The city of Groton, District 2 and District 3, primarily due to Pfizer and Electric Boat, pays over 37% of the tax base to the town of Groton. In return, we ask for 3 to 4%. That's all we return. My point was, in the city of Groton, we were able to lower taxes and maintain them flat last year and this year. Nobody else in the state of Connecticut has been able to do that. The town has raised taxes the last 2 years. That's a fact. Go look it up. And so we are going to continue to do what we're doing. We are fiscally responsible, and we've maintained services. We kept police, fire, sanitation, all those services, and we kept them level. So that's it. Thank you.
All right, can I have a time check, please, again for both candidates?
Mr. Hedrick has 18 seconds left.
All right.
Aundre has 1 minute and 23 seconds left.
Oh dear. All right. This next question is going to go to Mr. Hedrick first, and obviously you have a very limited amount of time to answer it, and then to Mr. Bumgardner, and then after that we will do closing statements. The question is, how do you plan to balance economic development and still preserve open space in the city?
Thank you. Real quick, you can still have economic development and you can still have open space if you start to, for example, Colonel Ledyard. I'm for the development of Colonel Ledyard. Town Councilor Bumgardner voted against it at the town level because he said trees are going to be destroyed. But Mr. Belloc, the developer, said no, that there's no trees going to be destroyed, and you can do economic development.
I'm sorry.
And still save. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, the same question to Mr. Bumgardner. Economic development versus open space.
Absolutely. So throughout my time in public service, I've always balanced the unique needs of expanding and acquiring open space with ensuring that our city prioritizes economic development and expansion. So I voted recently to support our data center, which will represent an enormous opportunity for our city, particularly Groton Utilities, to grow our electric revenue. Additionally, the town is set to gain a windfall of revenue as a result of the deal. And as a member of the town council, you know, our council has supported investing in open space, and I'll do that as our city mayor. As chair of the Public Utilities Commission, we will ensure that Groton Utilities focuses on open space acquisition, creating buffers around our watershed. It's so critically important. We also work with our surrounding conservation groups, you know, GOSA, Avalonia Land Trust. I have, again, track record of doing so, and I will yield the floor.
Thank you. I believe we are now essentially out of time for both candidates. I want to thank the candidates for their answers so far, and I want to thank the people who submitted the 23 questions we never got to. They were good, and I wish we had more time. At this point, however, we go to the candidates' closing statements, 3 minutes each, and by luck of the draw, it will start with Mr. Bumgardner.
Well, again, thank you, Jean, for the opportunity to participate in this discussion. Again, thank you, Mayor Hedrick, for also participating. Over the past 3.5 months, I've gone on a citywide listening tour, personally knocking on thousands of doors and speaking with hundreds of voters or residents at their doorstep about how their families have coped with the pain this pandemic has caused. You cannot serve as mayor of the city without taking the time to level with your constituents. Leaders are listeners. As state representative, I've regularly hosted town hall meetings, community forums, and office hours to hear the everyday concerns of residents, and I will continue that tradition as mayor. Our short and long-term pandemic response is of paramount importance. And coordinating with the Ledge-Lite Health District for effective vaccine rollout will be the top of the agenda for day one. Again, we need to shore up our support for our young families whose children are in distance learning and ensure that they have the resources they need to succeed. We do that by closing the digital divide, by enhancing recreational opportunities, supporting wraparound services for our youth, getting them off the streets and getting them into, again, these wonderful recreational opportunities we will offer in the years to come. A city government that works for the people must operate transparently. I will set up an open data portal where residents can access important financial information. Additionally, I'd like to launch a service where residents can request support from their municipality so that they can communicate with the city and Groton Utilities about non-emergency issues like fixing a pothole. So I am ready to roll up my sleeves to get to work on behalf of all of our residents. This has been a historic election. We won the Democratic primary in a dramatic fashion and very much look forward to making our case within the next week to all city residents as to why we ought to support progressive and prudent leadership. Again, there are two stark choices: energetic, renewed leadership, a commitment to all residents here in our city, or more of the same. Voters deserve to have representation that serve their needs, not the needs of the select few as have been done in the past. Unfortunately, the city has been entrenched in many scandals in the past. Case in point, you look at the Kentucky Derby trips that were taken by many of our city management and our utilities commissioners. We need to promote accountability, oversight, and transparency. You will have an honest leader in me, in our team. Please vote row A, Monday, May 3rd. Aundre Bumgardner. Thank you, and I look forward to seeing you on Election Day.
Thank you. Closing statement, Mr. Hedrick.
Thank you. I agree that there's a stark difference between the two candidates, stark differences between the two candidates. I think experience matters. I think the fact that for the last 4 years, we have either lowered or maintained taxes and we have maintained services. I think that's important. I have a proven track record of what we can do here. Economic development is on the forefront. We have already started with economic development. One of the things that I did in the last couple of years is I made the economic development specialist full-time. That's how devoted I am to economic development. We have diversity on my council. We have diversity in the police force. We have the most diversity in the region with the police force. And based on policies that I implemented back in 2017, we have an increase of 5% ethnic diversity through our hiring practices and the way that we go about engaging personnel. We are looking at maintaining police. I'm not looking at reducing police. I'm not looking at putting a police civilian oversight committee with subpoena power, which is what has been recommended by Town Councilor Bumgardner in the past. We have a Police and Community Together committee, which works together to bridge the gap between the police and the residents in the city. We're embracing resiliency. We're currently in the middle of a study that is going to help us come up with plans and recommendations on what we need to do and the procedures and policies that we need to change. We are embracing walkability and bikeability in the city of Groton as part of our economic strategy and our planning. Many of the things that my opponent wants, we're already doing. So when he talks about we're going to do this, we're going to do that, we're just going to continue what we're doing and we're going to get there. We have maintained the citizens and the employees safe during COVID. And when it comes to vaccines, we had COVID testing, but we also rolled out COVID vaccines based on the relationship that I had with Ledgelight Health District. And just recently, last week specifically, we brought vaccines to the vulnerable populations of Branford Manor. We're the first ones in this area to do that. We're going to continue to do that and take care of our populations. And if you have a pothole problem, call 860-446-4000 and they will take care of it for you. We already have customer service and we have a way to take care of things. So we will continue to be fiscally prudent. We will continue to be responsible and we will continue to stay focused on the City of Groton residents. Thank you. Don't forget to vote on May 3rd. And if you want to vote for me, it's 1C, color in the oval, and write in my name, Keith Hedrick, Keithhedrick. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you to both candidates. Irene?
Yes, thank you to all of you, to both candidates and the team. It's really a lively and informative discussion. Local elections are much more important than most people realize. So we encourage voters to participate in the Groton City election next Monday, 6 a.m. to 8. Your polling places are the Zaberski House and the Municipal Building. And if you value learning about and providing policy information and political information to the public, we hope you'll consider joining the League. Thank you again, everybody, and don't forget to vote. And I know these candidates are open to you calling them and asking for more information if that's something you'd like to do. So thanks, everybody. Bye.
Thank you and be safe.
Thanks.